So a couple of years ago, we remodeled our family room and we added this fireplace. And we used to have a large rear projection TV above it. That's since been replaced with a nice LED flat screen TV. And I built a kind of a mock-up model of a platform to see what I could do with the space. So the one thing we wanted to do was move all the electronics, the surround system, the modems, the routers, and all its wires, and move that up underneath the television set in a kind of an entertainment platform, if you will. And also maybe add some fretwork with some fabric behind it to translucent to kind of hide the electronics, but still allow the remote controls to still work. So I came up with a SketchUp drawing, so let's take a look at that. This is kind of our idea about what it could look like. And you can see the fireplace and the new platform with the fretwork on the front, which is an image I just copied off the internet and just kind of pasted it in there, but it gives an idea of what could be done. However, these are rough dimensions that'll get me a cut list, and I've added this support along the back. Anyways, we can get on to building this thing. So here's the template that I cut out that fits to the wall perfectly, and I matched it up to the front, so I had a gauge point or a reference point. And a trick that I learned from my dad years ago was to take an old drill gauge and line it up on the wall and drag it along the wall over your template to trace the contours or the angular difference of the wall. So I cut that out and I transferred it onto my workpiece, and with its contours. So most of the edges I could cut with a track saw to put it right on the line so it was perfectly straight. And then I cut out that contour with a jigsaw so I could follow that as closely as I could. And then I cut up some edge banding and I glued it on there. And I used a glue bot. This is my first one. It's got some interesting attachments which helps clumsy people like me align the glue and just kind of drag it along there. And we spread the glue out there and then we clamp it on. A trick I got on the Wood Whisperer a year or so ago is putting some tape on the areas that you can't clamp, and when you pin nail it you can apply your wood putty over the nail hole so that it doesn't smear onto the rest of the wood, and then you can just peel it off, and all you have is a little bit of wood putty just over the pin nail hole, and just hit it with a nice sander real quick, and you can't even see that it was there. Worked out really well. So we just continued on with the sanding part of it, and we then cut up the rest of the boards for the sides, the vertical supports, and the shelf units. I did use a domino, and I'm marking out the points for it, and laid it up vertically up the side wall there so I could reference it in two planes and laid it up against there so I could gun sight it, and then flip it over, and there's lines on the bottom that line them up so they line up perfectly. What a handy tool. And then I just put in the dominoes, and they set down on there and create a very, very strong joint. Probably a lot of overkill, but it works for me. And I did use pocket hole screws so I could dry fit it before I glued it and do some pre-assembly work. And the lines from the dominoes I extended up so that I could make sure that when I shot the pocket holes in there, I could shoot in between them. And here I'm cutting some spacers that I'll use to set the shelf heights with. So that about wraps it up for this video, guys. Got a long ways with this so far. Still have a ways to go. I have these side supports. They which go here, and on both sides. They're basically just for decoration, I guess. And these back panels that are going to go down here, those are pocket hole, and there's dominoes across here that line up with these. So these will have to be mounted yet. And that pretty much about does it. So the majority of the carcass work is done, and what I have left to do is basically miter these, which will be a challenge for me. To try to get that miter nice and perfect there. If it doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll think of something. But this has been a lot of fun so far, and I got to use my new domino, so that's been a real treat. And it's an amazing tool. It's like a biscuit joiner on steroids, I guess. Although I can't really even call it that. But awesome tool, awesome tool. I'm privileged to have one, and I try to make good use of it. So it adds a lot of structure. It's probably overkill, but I'm using it on our kitchen cabinets as well, and it really is. These are not screwed in, and this thing is really, really strong, and they're not glued either. So I can pop this out just by lifting up on it. I have to build this vertical support piece that'll go on the back here, and there'll be a nice gap here so I can route wires and cables and stuff. That and finish, I'm probably going to use water locks. I used that on a kitchen island before. It worked really well. That does take some time to do, but I will be probably doing that. So that's it for this video. I will catch you guys next time, and hopefully that video will show me finishing this up. We'll talk to you later.